First, I want to talk a little bit about how the brain operates. There are three main parts of the brain. There's the brainstem, which is often called the reptilian brain. There's the subcortex, which is often called the mammalian brain. And then there's the cortex, which is our primate or human brain. So the reptilian brain is our brainstem. And again, this is often called the reptilian brain, but I like to think of the metaphor of a fish, because it's really instinctual. It's fight or flight, it's survival instincts, and there's not a lot of thought going on or emotion. It's just survival. So when you think of a fish, when you scare a fish, it just swims away. There's not emotion there. There's not a lot of complex thought going on. It just swims away. Or if it's a reptile, it might just attack on instinct, like a snake attacks a mouse. It just acts on instinct. There's no complex emotion going on. If you look at a snake, there's not a lot going on in their mind. They're just operating completely on instinct. So this is also the part of our brain that controls our heart rate and our breath, our muscles. It controls involuntary action. So again, this is involuntary. This is the part of our brain that just operates on instinct and survival. And then above that, we've got the mammalian brain. And this is the part of our brain that's similar to a dog, a cat, or a mouse. And this is the emotional part of our brain. So this is the part of our brain that wants to feel really good and avoid feeling bad. So it's very simplistic in the way it operates. You know, a dog just eats food and it feels really good, and then it feels really bad when it's in a bad situation or it's alone. It will bark and make all sorts of emotional decisions. But it's very automatic, and it's very short-sighted. Sometimes when we're in our mammalian brain, we'll eat a bunch of food and emotionally eat, and that's part of our mammalian brain that just wants to feel good and avoid feeling bad, but is not focused on a long-term vision, which is what we're after. And above that, we've got the cortex, which is our primate or human brain. And this is where we started to develop language. We started to develop complex relationships. And this is also the part of our brain that has creativity. This is the part of our brain that separates us from the reptiles and the mammals, is we're able to see beyond the immediate needs. You know, we're able to see into the future and create something. You know, one thing is I've never seen a dog lead a civil rights march. I've never seen a dog work to create a national program to end hunger. I've never seen a reptile do anything that's compassionate. So this is part of our brain that is really valuable and something we need to really embrace and work towards and move above the reptilian brain or the mammalian brain, because those are often really short-sighted. We're either seeking immediate survival or we're seeking immediate pleasure in the moment, but we're not looking towards the bigger vision. So in order to achieve our bigger vision, we need to move from the reptilian brain to the mammalian brain up to the cortex, so that we're using our creativity and our critical thinking to see beyond the immediate present moment and to create something bigger than just reacting to our circumstances. And how we do this is we simply notice what's happening in the lower parts of our brain. So with the reptilian brain, we simply want to notice our heart rate, our breath, our muscle tension, and by simply noticing it, it helps us move up, because we're no longer consumed by it. We're no longer the reptile, we're above the reptile. We're looking down on the reptile and using our consciousness to simply notice it. And then we want to simply notice the mammalian brain, because once we notice our heart rate and our breath, that will move us into the emotional part of our brain. And we can start to identify complex emotions, the good feelings, the bad feelings, the anger, the fear, the anxiety, the happiness, the joy, all of those things going on in our emotional part of our brain. And what we want to do here, again, is simply notice it and notice all those complex emotions happening. What is our immediate emotion? What are we trying to avoid? What are we moving towards? What are the emotional components that are happening within us? And by noticing them again, we'll move up to the cortex, because we're going to use language to label the mammalian brain. And by using language, it automatically moves us into the higher levels of thinking, because the mammalian brain and the reptilian brain don't have complex language. They don't have critical thinking. So by using critical thinking and complex language, it will move us from the mammalian brain to the cortex, into the primate or human brain, by simply using language, using critical thinking, and by using different types of thinking, it moves our consciousness and our awareness to different parts of our brain. So that's the goal here. And what I'm pointing to here is what is sometimes called the Zen theory of change. And the Zen theory of change is I free myself not by trying to be free, but by simply noticing how I'm imprisoning myself in the very moment that I'm imprisoning myself. This is from Taming Your Gremlin by Rick Carson. And I underline the line simply noticing, because that's all we're doing here. This step is called spot it. So we're not doing anything but simply noticing in this step. And by simply noticing and actually having more of an awareness that's less attached or less engaged, we move beyond it. We move above that survival instinct. We move above that emotional response. We move into our creative thinking by simply noticing our reptilian brain and our mammalian brain. Thank you for watching this clip from our emotional intelligence training. The training is designed to help you improve your self-confidence, your stress management, and your conflict resolution skills. If you'd like to gain access to this full training video for free, you can click the link below.